Hello there, this is Morgan from MorganOnScience.com. Thanks for joining me today for another installment. I know so many scientists that are trained to be really, really good scientists, like to really think rationally, do great experiments, do great work, but just don't get the training always required to communicate that science and to go out into the world and really be effective about getting recognized for that science. And so that's one of my goals, is to really help individuals realize what they need to do to get recognized. And it's not just sort of doing science and then the world will beat a path to your door. I mean, that's a very common misconception that I see with people that come into my lab, especially the graduate students and the younger scientists, kind of thinking, oh, I'll do this and this and this, and I'll solve this disease, and boom, I'll get a Nobel Prize, and it'll all be hunky-dory. And it just almost never works out that way. I think that's like expecting to win the lottery. You can buy a lottery ticket many, many times and not win. Eventually, if you buy enough lottery tickets, you might win someday. But I think a much better way is to actually do things that people care about, and to go out and get a job or start a business or whatever, than to just expect to win the lottery. And it's the same way in promoting one's science. You really have to get out there and get the message out in terms that people understand about what you're doing and why you're doing it and who it benefits. That is such a key point, is who does your work actually benefit? Because if you're not making it clear who your work benefits, then who's going to care about it? Then it's just really a hobby. Hobbies are things that we do for our own interest, for our own fun, our own pleasure. Work is something that we do to provide value to somebody else. So if you're doing science as a hobby, that's great. I think you could work on any problem that you care about, and you don't have to worry about communicating that to the outside world or to somebody else. But if you're doing science for work, science as a profession, then it's incredibly important to communicate to somebody else why you're doing the science and how it's important and how it's relevant to other people, not just to yourself. And so, I'll have a series of points on how to do this, but one of the key things, and I'll harp on this again and again and again, is talking about the benefits of your work, not just the features of your work. So it's so common for people to list a series of facts, and that's like me going and listing a series of attributes of a car, like it has a 345 horsepower engine, and it has whatever, let's say a 430 watt stereo and a tilt steering wheel and blah blah blah. So I can list an endless array of facts. And then, so if you're thinking of buying a car from me, you might hear this array of facts and then be like, okay, whatever. Your mind turns off pretty quickly unless you're a car buff. But if I start saying how those things benefit you, then you might be more interested. Like if I say it has a 345 horsepower engine, so you can go really, really damn fast, then it gets more exciting. It has the tilt steering wheel so that it will fit any driver in your family, from the short spouse to the really tall son, and everybody in between. It has a 400 watt stereo so that you can really, really crank out your favorite tunes and whatever. So it's so important to do that same thing in science, to say what are the benefits, not just what are the attributes of an experiment. So that is it for today, but you can join me on Twitter at MetaMorgan, and you can join me on the web at MorganOnScience.com. That's my website. I look forward to your comments, and I will be seeing you again tomorrow.